I wanted to also note that there's an instance in the Platonic dialogues, just to speak about one more of the dialogues, menexenus, which is kind of about rhetoric. And in that speech, you find Socrates relating events that happen after his lifetime. So it's a very interesting dialogue where you see the hinge of remembering being something that within Plato is memory of the past, of things that happened before one's lifetime, and memory of things that happen in the future. So Socrates is narrating events that happen after his lifetime. Now, the meaning of that, you have to go into Plato more deeply to find the meaning of it. But it is interesting, and it is interestingly prefigured in a dialogue, Theaetetus, of Plato, What is Knowledge? Because in that dialogue you have a character named Euclides, and he's a mathematician also. And so the idea being that this is before Euclid formulates his system, so for 50 or so years, or 40, 30 years before Euclid's system has actually formulated. And so it's significant because in that dialogue there's a lot of discussion of geometry. There's geometry at the heart of Meno, as I mentioned. There's geometry, which is essential to Timaeus, the dialogue about the creation of the world, which is really not a creation of the world, by the way. The monogenes, who is the one who forges the matter into the right shape of the cosmos, is not a creator of the world. The world pre-exists, or the matter of the world pre-exists his formation, or his forming of it into a shape which makes it eternal. So there's this difference between apparently the Bible and Plato, which is that in Plato the creation of the world is really a recreation of the shape of the matter of the world, so that the matter can be in a shape that allows the world to be sustained forever and for it to be eternal. But I thought I would bring up this dialogue, menexenus, because menexenus is a dialogue where apparently Socrates can relate events that will happen after his death. And he does so in that dialogue. And so it's one of the ironic dialogues. When you read it, you're like, if you know about Athenian and Spartan history and the history of the academy and so on in the dialogue, and you're able to place Socrates in his lifetime, then you realize that the events that he's talking about happen after his death. And as I said, that's in a way also the case in what would knowledge for Plato. If knowledge is knowledge of the forms, then knowledge of, in the Theaetetus, then knowledge of the forms would be a form of remembering. And so in the Theaetetus you have, which is also a dialogue on remembering, because you have all the different ways that things can be mistakenly or correctly remembered in that dialogue. So again, but that dialogue appears to end in knowledge might be justified, true belief knowledge might be justified, true belief. But there's also skepticism there from the side of Socrates. So it really takes Plato's later efforts in Sophist and in Laws particularly. In Laws Book 10, Plato then brings into full view the fact that he, unlike Socrates, believed that you could give proof of the forms, that you could give proof of something like the divine character of the cosmos, and that you could therefore have a true religion. And that true religion would be the participation of human beings in an eternal cosmos that had these kind of rhythmic recreations of man's nature at intervals of 5,040 years. So if there's like a fundamental logarithm unit of time in Plato, it's some division of 5,040. The fundamental logarithm is one that I like using very much in my mathematical thinking, because in my thinking about the galaxies and the size of separation of the galaxies and the mass in each galaxy, on the basis of Dr. Arrowhead's theory, actually each of those galaxies will be some measure of the fundamental logarithm and a mass size. So if you find one galaxy is this many times the fundamental log unit more than this one, and you find that they are all divisible into the fundamental logarithm unit, I don't know if that's symbolized by an eta, an e, I think that's a symbol. It might be an eta symbol. And so the mathematical understanding for Plato, and then in my novel, that modern Platonist Lincoln is the one that's kind of showing everybody in the novel the hinge. It hinges around his own understanding of where to be on the earth to have these experiences of remembering. But that doesn't mean that it's not his mind and his freedom in participating, which he was able to actually activate his mind to that knowledge through the study of Euclidean geometry, Plato, and the Bible.